So I was at Safeway and I found these wooden rolling pins. They were about $5 each and pretty decent quality. So I think we're going to take a pair of them and turn them into some texture rollers. Alright, so to start off, I'm going to use some tacky glue. This will work out pretty well to hold everything into place. It's fairly sticky and it doesn't really run or flow when you apply it to something, so it's pretty ideal for this application. Now you could use something like hot glue or something a little bit more instantaneous, like putty or something like that, but it wouldn't really hold things on for very long. I've tried to make stuff like this in the past with hot glue, and some of the medium sticks and some of it doesn't. Some of it just kind of pops out of the hot glue once it fully solidifies, so I would recommend an actual glue like a white glue, PVA glue. Tacky glue works pretty well. I tried wood glue, but it kind of flows a little bit too much and kind of kept running all over the place, and I would have had to do it in much thinner strips to get it all to kind of stay in place, so wouldn't really recommend that. Now that I've got that line of tacky glue all set, I apply a layer of sand and just kind of tap everything into place just to make sure that everything is embedded into the glue. And I'm going to let that dry for about 20 minutes before doing the next strip off camera. So here's another roller that I started. This one I tried the wood glue at first and it just kind of made a mess, and I ended up having to clean up my entire workstation. And then I switched over to the tacky glue. And here you can see that I'm doing it with stones. The first texture roller for sand is kind of going to be like a blending texture roller. Something that I'm going to use to kind of mesh different textures together and create a kind of transition texture layer. This one with the stones is going to be for a more, I guess you could say, kind of a rocky or ground texture. I'm definitely going to be using this for like caves and things like that to create the kind of texture that you would expect to see in like the floor of a cave. But I'm just kind of taking a couple little pinches of some aquarium stones and just setting them very carefully into the glue and just kind of pressing them down to make sure that they're an even layer, that they've got a pretty decent hold and they're not going to come loose. Now I'd like to take this time to give a special shout out to the person who originally suggested this video, and that is Michelle Norman 4467. Thank you so much for the idea, and it did work out really well, and honestly I don't know why I didn't do stuff like this in the past, probably because I didn't really have all the supplies on hand and it just kept slipping my mind, so thank you for the suggestion and kind of prompting me to put this together. Now the tacky glue will hold everything in place pretty well. You can go over the stones again with another layer of glue just to kind of make sure everything holds in. If you're going to do that, I would actually recommend not using a second layer of tacky glue. Use a layer of just regular old PVA. It'll help to kind of sink into the crevices and hold everything in place once it all solidifies and dries. But as you're applying the stones, make sure that you're giving ample time for all of the glue to dry and harden before you move on to the next step. So I'm actually doing both of these rollers at the same time. I'll do a section of the sand pin and then switch over to this one to let the sand dry, and then let this one dry by switching back over to the sand pin, etc., etc. All told, it took me about 2 to 3 hours to put both of these pins together, but that's because I used a little bit more glue than I probably should have. And it ended up having to dry a little bit longer. Alright, here we are with the finished product. So they came out pretty well. I did let them kind of solidify and dry kind of overnight just to make sure that everything had a good firm hold. So let's go ahead and give it a quick test with a piece of foam. This is just an offcut from a previous project that I had laying around. I got this from the Dollar Tree. Alright, so we've got a nice clean surface. Let's go ahead and give it a test, starting with the stone roller. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I think it can look a little better. Let's give it a try with, oh yeah, this is definitely going to work better if you go at it from multiple angles. And then to kind of blend all the texture together and kind of fill in any little gaps, we can use the sand roller, and look at that, some nice stone floor. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. Thank you everyone for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe for future content, comment down in the comments section, and we will see everyone next episode.